there. We're recording, so we should be good to go. Okay, so let's dive in to cutting the cord. Now there's so much that we could talk about with this. And I hope to just today give you kind of an overview and a lot of examples of what you can do when you cut the cord. So we'll be talking about all the big names that you've heard of, YouTube TV and Netflix and all that. And there's stuff I don't cover, but hopefully I talk about all the big players so that you can be informed when you begin the process. Okay. All right. Oh, this is just some Zoom protocol. So basically, after a little while, I'll kind of give it a break to answer a couple questions. We'll probably have time for one or two. We'll see how it goes. You could also just ask me a question later or email me.
It says it will be automatically muted. It says it will be automatically muted.
We are going to start with the question of what is streaming, because I think that trips people up a lot. I mean, it can get really technical with this, but I'm going to just try to go over it in a basic way. So basically, streaming as a definition is just the delivery method. So it's just the method of transmitting and receiving data, mainly video and audio, over a computer network, over the internet, as a steady, continuous flow, allowing playback to start while the rest of the data is still being received. So if you want to kind of think of it in a different way, what's the opposite of streaming? The opposite is downloading a file. So basically, when you download, say, an audiobook, if you purchase an audiobook, you download it to a device, you have that now, and you don't need an internet connection to then play that. It does take up space on whatever device you're using. And so that's what kind of the opposite of streaming is, if you want to think of it that way. The streaming is just, it's immediate as long as your internet is pretty good and it doesn't require storage space. So, I mean, most things you're doing nowadays are probably streaming. I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of a perspective on that, about what that kind of means. I mean, there's more that you can get into it, but that's just some basics. The next thing I want to just cover briefly, because I know someone asked about live streaming, and it kind of gets a little confusing, because if you hear a young person today talk about live streaming, it kind of means something different. So this is the only slide I'm really going to be talking about live streaming in this way. But basically, if you hear a younger person talk about live streaming, what they mean is that they're streaming media that's simultaneously being recorded and broadcast in real time over the internet. So what this means is that, from that perspective is typically it's done by like well-known or famous people, and what they do is like they'll stream their daily activities, their games, their cooking, their makeup tutorials, like whatever. There's just tons of stuff that people are live streaming these days. Some streams are watched by thousands of people, millions. And what you can do is comment on live streams as they're happening. So if you have ever heard someone mention this, a lot of the times they'll be talking about it using a specific platform like Facebook Watch, YouTube Live, Instagram Live. Twitch is a really big one for video games. So a lot of kids will be live streaming their video game playing on Twitch so that people can watch them play in real time. TikTok is another one. It's not just for live videos, and you have to have a certain amount of followers to actually be able to live stream. But this doesn't exactly have to do with cutting the cord. If you hear, like I said, if you hear some younger people like referring to live streaming, usually they mean people that are live streaming their life or their like daily activities. And like I said, it's usually by famous or like well-known people. So all you need to do this, if you wanted to do it, or if you wanted to look into people who are doing this, you can comment on their live streams. You need internet and you need a device. And you can find people's live streams by going to YouTube or Facebook. And there's things you can click on to get to people with their live streams. So that's live streaming. Like I said, so non-live, I have another point in here I wanted to make. Stuff like Netflix and Hulu are technically streamed, but not live streamed in this way that people might be referring to it. So it gets like a little confusing, but I wanted to mention live streaming because I know someone asked me to touch on that. So now we will get into cord cutting. So what is it exactly? So basically it's the practice of canceling or forgoing your cable subscription in favor of an alternative internet-based service. So basically in place of a cable box, what you do is you add and use channels or apps through a smart TV or an external device. You don't need both. If you already have a smart TV, you can access these channels through your smart TV. If you don't have a smart TV, you would simply have to purchase a Roku, an Amazon Fire Stick, which I'll get into in a lot more detail later, in order to access content. So some of the benefits, you know, you have control over what you want to watch and when. You know, the contracts aren't there anymore. You can subscribe to Netflix for a month and then cancel it without any issue. Another big thing is that there's a lot of shows and movies you might not be able to find or view otherwise. So there's some shows that are only available on Netflix or only available on Hulu. And eventually they might come out on DVD, but a lot of times it takes a long time for them to come out on DVD after they're aired on a certain service. So some of the downsides, as we've gotten more, you know, years now into cord cutting, everything has just gone up in price, all of these services. I mean, I was working on this PowerPoint yesterday and I had to change something this morning because I realized it went up $5. So the things are constantly changing, and if you're trying to replicate cable to a T, you're probably not going to be saving a lot of money. So you kind of have to be strategic about the way you go about cord cutting, and maybe you might have to forego some things or find alternative ways to access content if you want to save money. Another thing that can be difficult to access is sports. I'll go over that a little bit, but sports are notoriously difficult to access once you've cut the cord. If you're into all kinds of sports, it's going to be tricky. And let's get more into this and see what we got here. All right, so the first thing that you need to think about is internet. So you do need good internet. It doesn't need to be crazy. I would say that you want internet speeds in the neighborhood of 10 Mbps, and that is megabits per second. And it's easy to find out your internet speed. I have 2 links towards the bottom of the slide. They're in green. You can get on a phone or a computer and just go to these websites, and it will tell you what your speed is. It depends on now if you're looking at live TV, multiple streams, multiple TVs in the household. So you might need more 15 to 20 megabits per second for some of those types of situations. But if it's just one of you in the house or 2, and you don't think you're going to watch more than one thing at one time, you should be fine with 10 to 15. These are just some of what the popular services recommend. Netflix recommends 3 to 5, Hulu 6, 8 for the live TV, which is still reasonable. It should be fine with the internet you have. I mean, you should be able to get that speed with the internet that you currently have. But if you're curious or you feel like you're not getting what you're paying for, go to one of these websites. There's more. There's actually a lot of other websites you could go to check your internet speed. You can go to, I think there's another one, fast.com. Test it over a span of a few days at different times and make sure that you're getting, that your internet service provider is providing the speed that you're paying for. So if you're concerned or you think it's not, it seems like it's lagging, call and ask. So I'd say, now this will vary for different factors. So I think you'll typically spend probably between 40 to 50 a month for a basic package. The problem here is that if you already have something like Comcast and you have cable and you want to cut it down to just internet, I think they're going to give you a hard time and want to charge you more. I think that's been an issue for people. People have commented on that during this class in the past. So I think a good idea could be to switch, maybe cancel and just go to Frontier. I don't want to say what I don't want to recommend something personally, but I do use Frontier and I pay, I think, $45. I am a new user since I moved. So I am a new user, so that price, it's going to go up every year. Also, you might get a good deal in the beginning, so you might end up paying like $30 a month for the first year. There's some fine print you just want to make sure that you read so you know how much you're going to be paying after that first year. I'd say it's typically between 40 and 50. Okay, and once you have your internet, what's the next step? We have two options here. So what we have here is a smart TV or a streaming player. The streaming player, streaming device, streaming hub, whatever you want to call it. I have a list of some of them there. That's only some that exist. There's a lot of others. Basically, you pay a one-time price for this device. You, depending on which one it is, you plug it directly into your TV or into an HDMI cable, which then plugs into your TV. And I'll go over some of these in the next upcoming slides. So here's some of them. Amazon, Roku has so many different kinds. There's just even more than these four here. Apple TV, that costs a lot. Google has Chromecast. There's a TiVo Stream. And I'll get into what I think, or what the experts think might be a good place to start with that in the next slide. If you already have a smart TV, then you don't need an external streaming player like a Roku. Basically, your channels are already displayed on screen. You probably know if you have a smart TV, but if you're unsure, see if you can access channels. See if you can add Netflix and add YouTube. It's going to kind of look reminiscent of an iPad or a smartphone. So what I would say is if you need a new TV and you don't have an external hub already, like a Roku, then it might be a good idea to get a smart TV. And there's a lot more that we could talk about. I did put two really good links here. Best TVs for 2022. This Tom's Guide, he does a lot of tech articles. So if I send you the PowerPoint, you guys can look at that. And CNET is also a really good resource to go for reviews of all of this kind of stuff. And they have a link, or they have an article on the best TVs for 2022 also. So you can go there and kind of check out all the different kind of smart TVs that you could get. But if you're happy with your TV right now, and you're not interested in upgrading, you can simply buy a streaming player in order to access Netflix and Hulu and all those other services. So here's four that are pretty popular. I got this information from CNET. Like I said, it's a really good website for this kind of stuff. Basically, they named the Amazon Fire TV Stick Lite. These names get longer and longer. The best budget streamer, and the Roku Express, the second best budget streamer. So the Amazon Fire TV Stick Lite is somewhere between $20 to $30. I think if you have Prime, you might be able to get it for $20. The nice thing about the Amazon Fire Stick is that its remote has a built-in voice search. So you can click it and say Netflix, and it'll take you there.
How do you buy it?
I can't hear you. Wait, did someone say something? I can't hear.
Yes. How do you buy it?
Oh, sorry, my volume is like way down. How do you buy it? You can buy this on, I mean, you could buy it on Amazon. You could buy any of these on Amazon.
Okay.
That's probably, you can buy the Roku. I mean, they have a website. You can go to Roku.com and look at all their kinds of streamers. But you might actually get, if you have Prime, I mean, you might get a better deal. I would just start with Amazon. That's what I would say. I'd say if you're just starting this, probably the best place to start is with a Roku. The Roku Express is nice. It's a good budget streamer. It's usually about $30, sometimes like $25. It's usually on sale. It's a really simple interface. It's easy to search for stuff. It has a free content section. So if you buy a Roku, you get access to some free stuff just by having a Roku, which is really cool. And it's kind of independent where it doesn't push any one media provider. Like if you buy an Amazon, it's going to push Amazon content. If you buy a Chromecast, it's going to push Google stuff. So I think a good place to start was with the Roku. The Roku Express is okay. It's a little clunky. And the other thing I don't love about it is it has a simple remote, quote, simple remote. So it doesn't have voice features with the Roku Express. So you can't press something on the remote and say where you want it to go, and it'll take you there. But if we go to the next bullet point and look at the Roku Express Plus, this was actually named the best streamer overall. So if you want to invest just a little bit more money, it's really not that much more. I think it's worth it because the remote does have voice control, which is actually nice. And it has volume controls on the remote, whereas the Roku Express, I don't believe it has volume controls on the remote. So Roku is a great place to start. I put the Chromecast here because if you're kind of all into the Google ecosystem already and you really like all that, it might be a good option. Like I wrote there, it ties in well with like YouTube TV, if you have that, with Google Photos. Like there's a lot you could do if you're kind of in the Google world and you want to keep going with that. And it was named the second best overall. And like I said, if you go to the website, go to CNET and just do a search, CNET, of what the best streaming players are, you can read their full review. They do a full in-depth review on all of these. It's really good. So that's just 4 of them. Like I said, there's a lot more, but I wanted to kind of give you an intro to what you could get. All right. Oops. Okay. I'm going to stop for a second. If anyone has a question, you can put it in the chat, or you can just unmute if you want to ask something quick. If not, I'll just keep going.
How do you find out what TV channels it gets? Did you hear me?
Yes, I'm trying to. I mean, I go into that when we start talking about the services that offer live TV. I do go into that later.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let us continue. Okay, so now, like I talked about live streaming earlier, if you hear someone say live streaming, there's a chance they might be talking about the live streaming thing I was talking about earlier. But live TV streaming is basically like is what you guys are probably most interested in, I'm thinking, and on-demand streaming, but I'll go over the difference between those two. So live TV streaming is like traditional TV, but it's delivering your content over the internet. So basically, if you subscribe to YouTube TV, you're going to scroll through the channels that the service offers. You choose a channel and you start viewing whatever program is already in progress. So that would be like your news, sports, weather, stuff like that. Examples of that are going to be YouTube TV, Sling TV. I mean, there's a ton that I'm going to go into some of them. Philo is another one. Fubo TV, Hulu. Hulu has both, but we'll go into that also. So the opposite of this is on-demand streaming, and this is going to be like your Netflix and your Disney Plus and your like Peacock, and there's other ones. So this is on-demand streaming, which it's basically like a library of shows and movies that you watch on your schedule. I mean, I think you guys you're familiar with Netflix. You can turn on a show, you pause, you stop, continue watching, switch to a different show at any time. Whereas live TV, you're watching what program is already in progress. And there are ways to record with live TV streaming and watch later. And I'll go over that as well. Just so you know, every live TV service is going to be a little bit behind the live stream you'd get from your local cable or satellite provider. So if there's a big game on and someone texts you the who wins or something, and then you might not know about it for 30 more seconds. So just be aware that that's the case. Okay, so here are some of the most popular live TV streaming services. I'd say that probably the most popular one is YouTube TV. And I have, all kinds of information here on all of these. So YouTube TV, I'll go over a little bit. It's $65 a month. You get 85 plus, it's probably more now, 85 channels. It used to be the only one that included PBS. Now there's one other one. I think it's DirecTV Stream. The nice thing about YouTube TV is it has unlimited DVR storage. So you can save recordings and play them, and you have unlimited storage for that. And they can be kept for 9 months, which is actually unique because most of the other ones you can only keep for 30 days, I believe. I'm going to move over actually to Hulu plus live TV. So Hulu has on-demand streaming, and they also have live TV. So right now I'm going over the Hulu's live TV service. So the live TV is $70 a month. You get a bunch of channels. This is new that it now includes Disney Plus and ESPN Plus. So you're kind of getting more for the money. The cloud DVR, so that's what you can store and view later, is 50 hours. And the unfortunate thing about Hulu is that you have to pay more a month to skip commercials on DVR. So you can save a news broadcast, but when you want to go watch it later on at your convenience, there's still going to be commercials unless you pay more. Sling TV is another popular one. They actually have two different plans, I guess if you would say. They have Sling Orange and Sling Blue. I think in general, Sling Blue is like the better one. They have more channels, NBC and Fox, NFL Network. If you want to pay for one by itself, it's $35 a month. If you want to get both, it is $50 a month. There's few local stations, which is probably why it's in general, it's generally less expensive than some of the other ones. So your storage capacity is 50 hours, and you can get more for an extra $5. It's probably an extra $5 a month. DirecTV Stream it's not new, but I think it's undergone a bunch of different name changes. So this one's $70 a month for a bunch of channels. This is the storage capacity is 20 hours, which isn't that much, but I guess you could get unlimited for $10 more a month. I mean, this sounds like a lot of money. You do end up spending a lot, but this is I'll show you, what you can actually do with this. So DirecTV Stream includes PBS in some cities. This is another one like Hulu Live TV, where you have to pay more to skip commercials on DVR. I think if you're a huge sports fan, that this is the one you want to get. It's expensive. They have a $90 tier, but with the $90 tier, you have access to most regional sports networks. And that gets complicated too, but basically you need a regional sports network or an RSN. Those are gonna allow you to watch like in-market games. So if you're a big NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey fan, like regular season NBA, MLB, or NHL fan, then you're gonna need regional sports networks. And I think this is the only one that has access to most RSNs, but it is really expensive, $90 a month. But if sports are the only thing you really care about, I'd say DirecTV Stream is probably the best one to get. Here's some more. We have Philo. Philo's cool. It's actually really pretty inexpensive. It's just that they don't have any sports or local channels. So if you're really just into entertainment and lifestyle channels like HGTV, Food Network, History, Hallmark, Philo might be a good one to try out. So Paramount Plus is another one. I include this in the live TV, but they don't have a ton of live TV. A little bit. They have some CBS stations, MTV, BET, Comedy Central. But Paramount Plus, their big thing is the on-demand stuff. So the TV shows like Blue Bloods, NCIS, Star Trek, all that. But I include them here in the live TV services because they have a little bit, just a little bit. So Fubo TV is another one for sports fans, but mainly like soccer and football fans. I have some of the channels that they include. There's also some free options, Pluto TV, the Roku channel, they have ABC, Sling TV has a little free tier. I think they just have ABC News. And Peacock has a small selection of live sports and news. So these are some free options that you could look into if you just want a little bit of live TV. Okay, so here's an example. How would you find out which channels these services have? Here's an example for Hulu. So I put the URL up there. You would go to www.hulu.com/live-TV. And basically this is what you're going to see. You're going to see all the channels that they offer. So this is all the channels that you can get when you subscribe to Hulu Live TV. And if you want to see your local channels, you click View Channels in your area, and then you'll be brought to another screen where it shows you what local channels you have access to. And any of these, go back. That was for Hulu, but any of these, if you just Google YouTube TV, you Google DirecTV Stream, you could go to their website and you can look into which channels they have. This is just kind of like some basic questions that you might want to ask yourself if you are really hoping to get a lot of the live TV kind of stuff once you cut the cord. So like we just mentioned, does the service have your must-have channels? Like what are your must-haves? Not MSNBC or Food Network or this or that. What do you really want to make sure that you get? Does it offer local channels in your area? Is that important to you? How good is the cloud DVR? And is that important to you? I mean, some people want to just put it on and they'll watch whatever it is and that's that. But do you want to be able to save these things and watch them later? And do you care about skipping commercials later on when you're watching them? Do you want to pay more to not have to, or to be able to skip commercials? Do you like the interface? Some people don't care about that, but some things are clunkier than others. Does it make it easy to browse? How many people are in your household? Are there enough streams for you and your family? So some of them, you're going to have to, some of them actually you pay more for multiple streams, but that gets to be, you know, probably a lot of different streams. So I'm assuming most people here are probably just like watching one or two, but just check that out. It's another thing to look into. And how good is your internet? It needs to be pretty good for live TV, a little bit stronger for that than, say, if you just want to get Netflix. So these are just some questions to kind of ask yourself when you're shopping for a live TV service. Does anyone have any questions about any of those? Or anything that wasn't clear or something?
So you can find out what channels it has if you go to their website.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this picture is just like I took a screenshot, or like this is like from the website. So this is what it will look like when you, well, this is what Hulu looks like. I'm sure most will have like the little icons like this.
Okay.
You know, or they'll just list the channels, but yeah. Yep.
And are these prices typical of, for example, Comcast would give you a price of $50 a month, but then there's a million fees and taxes and other things included? Would that be the same, or not included, added on?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be the same with these? If you say $65 a month for YouTube TV, are there a lot of other fees added to that?
I don't believe there would be anything added to that, unless you want some of the
Unless you want the extras.
extra features like skipping commercials. But they don't all, you know, have those extra fees for skipping commercials. Trying to think of something else that might be added to it, but no, for live TV, for just that, this is the price you're going to pay. Now the prices they keep going up, unfortunately, but as they're going up, they're adding more channels typically. So, I mean, that's good too.
Yeah, a question on the
Yes.
which she just brought up about the taxes and everything. Where can you find like an approximate of, say, if you were going to go into YouTube TV?
Mm-hmm.
I know there's just tons of taxes and service charges. Is there a place you can find that?
I mean, if you go to any of the websites for these, they're going to lay out everything, like how much it's going to cost.
Okay, including taxes and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really think it's going to be that much more than what's shown here.
And I know I came into class late, but what do you need for equipment?
Yeah, so I did go over the equipment. So if you have a smart TV,
Right.
you can, if you subscribe to YouTube TV, and you have a smart TV, you can just add the YouTube TV channel.
Okay.
If you don't have a smart TV, you're going to need an external streaming player.
Okay.
And so I just went back to that slide. These are just some
Yeah, I
examples.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
do
so.
see.
Yeah, like Roku is probably one that most people have at least heard of. At
Yeah,
this
I
point.
have Roku on one of my TVs.
Yeah, so you're already quarter of the way there, or halfway there.
Yeah, I've never used it, but I do have it.
You have a device, like a.
No, it's just, yeah, I have a remote that for the
right.
Roku. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, these prices are set for the most part. And I know people are asking if there's more that you, I mean, you do need to pay for the external device, but that's a one-time fee. And you know, you're going to be paying if you want extra stuff. Like if you want Netflix, obviously that's a different fee per month, but I'll get into that. But for just the live TV, yeah, this is the price. This is what you're going to pay per month. So I think someone asked a question in the chat. Can you share these with other family members away from home? Does that mean, do you mean can multiple people use YouTube TV? Is that like at one time? I have to get back to you. I feel like there's some limits. It might be that like one other, I don't know, because I know with Netflix, like a couple people can use the same account, or a few people even. Let me email you. Can you put your email? I'll see if I can find like an easy, like an explanation. Okay, yeah, I'll email you that. That's a good question that I didn't think about, actually. I feel like there's got to be some limits with that, though. That's my gut feeling, but I will find out. Okay, so here's the other, oh, was that? Yes, okay, thank you. So here are the other streaming services that you guys have probably heard of. That's not live TV. This is the on-demand stuff. Netflix, Hulu. I mean, Hulu has on-demand catalog service, and they have a live TV. So that's why they're in both places. So Prime Video is another one. Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Peacock, HBO Max. There's more of these too. There's just so many. I think these are the ones I'm going to be going over though, just to kind of get an intro here. All right, so here, there's a lot of information, but like I said, I'll send you guys the slides, anyone who wants the slides. I think the prices are in bold because that's probably the most important thing. So for Netflix, their prices just went up, I believe, too. They actually have 3 tiers. So that's important. That's kind of important to look into if you don't have Netflix and you want to sign up. They have a basic tier. They have a standard tier, which I think is probably what most people are using nowadays. And it's actually 15, which just went up, I believe. And then they have a premium tier. So Netflix is probably like the grandfather of all of these. It has really good original programming, a really nice interface, and it's just probably like the one to start with if you're just getting into this. There's a lot of options for stuff to watch on there. So the basic plan, if you're going to only pay $10 a month, you can only watch one screen at one time. So like if you want to be able to watch on, someone watches in one room and someone else watches something else, you're going to have to go for the standard plan, or standard or premium. Hulu is another one. So like I said, it's different from the live TV. This is $7 a month, or $13 a month with no ads. So Hulu is like up and coming. I feel like it's even more popular in the last year or so. It has a really good selection of TV series. The Handmaid's Tale. It does have fewer original shows. Like Netflix has tons of original Netflix-made TV shows and movies now. Probably more so than other movies. It's hard to sometimes find old movies now on Netflix because they have such a large catalog of their original shows and movies, but they're really good. So Hulu is another one that's really good to try. They have a lot of good TV shows, like I said, if you're into TV series. Prime Video is $9 a month, or if you already subscribe to Amazon Prime, I believe you can pay $13 a month, or I do like the yearly thing, which is $119 a year. and that includes Prime Video. Prime, see, I have no ads, but I think they started to show ads actually. I have to confirm that though. But they have a lot of movies and TV shows, and the nice thing that I like about Prime Video is you can rent or buy pretty much any movie out there. I mean, you could look up a movie, and if it's not included on Prime, you can rent it for like $2 or $3.99. Prime, I don't think they have the best interface. What I mean by that is like Netflix is really, it's smooth when you're searching for stuff and going back and forth between searching for movies and pausing stuff. And I think Prime is a little clunky personally, but it's still
Can
great.
I make a comment?
Yes.
I have Prime and Netflix, and I find that Prime on the weekends is very hard to get into.
What happens? Like,
It just buffers. I try to get into a movie and it just buffers. That's just on the weekends, but not with Netflix.
that's interesting. I don't know why that would be, actually, but
I don't either.
yeah. I would think that would be an internet thing. Unless, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that stinks. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so Disney Plus is another one that's really popular for families. It has like all the Disney stuff, all the Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar. It's really fun. They went up recently. I think they started at $7 a month. I mean, everything's gone up since I did this presentation a year ago or a year and a half ago, whatever it was. But Disney Plus is $8 a month now. But they do have a lot of awesome content too. So those are four of the big on-demand streaming services. These are some other ones that are available. Paramount Plus is really cool, $6 or $10 if you don't want to look at any commercials. They have, a ton of current and classic CBS shows and a lot of good originals like the Star Trek, Card, and The Good Fight. They also have like Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, Cheers. Paramount Plus is like best for nostalgic viewing, I think is how they put it, which is fun too. Peacock has a free tier, but there's ads, and you're not going to get everything with the free tier. But you can pay $5, get ads, or get the Premium Plus for $10, and there'll be no ads. So a lot of the fan favorites like The Office, Parks and Rec, that used to be on Netflix moved over to Peacock, sadly. And I don't think they're available on the free Peacock tier. You have to actually subscribe to Peacock to get those. So wait, did somebody raise their hand? Do you want to just unmute and ask something? Or maybe you didn't mean to raise your hand. I don't know. But another one that people are liking a lot now, HBO Max. It has HBO's entire catalog, and it has Friends moved over there. Friends used to be on, I think it used to be on Netflix or Prime maybe. They have some good classics on there too. They do have a $10 ad tier, but the big thing with HBO Max is that why it's popular is a lot of movies that are aired in the theaters are on HBO Max like the day of or the next day or something like that. But the $10 tier doesn't have those newest movies right away. I'm talking about like brand new movies like The Matrix and Dune, and like movies that are just coming out in theaters are on HBO Max, I think the day after, which is kind of cool. So those are some of the most popular on-demand streaming services. It's just, a mention that there's some good bundles and special offers out there. You can, bundle Paramount Plus and Showtime, and you save some money. Another thing is like Roku. If you buy a Roku device, sometimes they have some, you can watch a show for like the season of Billions for 3 months. for $3.99 if you have a Roku device. So they have these special offers that you can look out for. You might save a little bit. And also a plug for free library apps. It's really cool because Hoopla and Kanopy are available for Brantford patrons, and you can check out 8 things per month on Hoopla and 8 on Kanopy. And these are available as channels. If you have a Roku already or Chromecast, any of those, you could just go and add these channels. But I would suggest signing up first on a computer or a smartphone with your library card. It's just easier that way. And then there's instructions for how to link your account to the channel. And once you have that, you can access a lot. Kanopy is all movies. They have a lot of documentaries. Hoopla, there's TV shows. There's, they have this Acorn TV. So they're going to have a lot of the British dramas and mysteries and stuff like that. So these are completely free apps with your library card. And
So you put your library card in when you go to the website?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. You can, if you start, you can go to hoopla.com or kanopy.com or go to Blackstone and go from there. And there's links to go there. And you're just going to sign up with like an email, password, and your library card number.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so do that first and then go on your Roku or whatever and look for the Hoopla or the Kanopy channel. And then there'll be instructions on how to link it. It could get a little confusing. I've helped people out before on the phone with doing that, but I do have those 2 green links right there on the PowerPoint. Will bring you to articles on how to link it up so you can watch these things on your TV. Okay, so there are a few options if you want to watch news, but maybe you don't want to subscribe to a live TV service, or you want to kind of give something else a try first and then see how that is. So one of these options is an over-the-air antenna, and these are not successful for everybody. So basically what it is, it's an indoor antenna hooked up to your TV that you mount on like a window or a wall, something like that. They're usually about $10 on the low end to $40, something like that. And what you could get is live local news from ABC, CBS. It's just that there's a certain range. And also I know when I've taught this class in the past, a lot of people were like, oh, these didn't work, like yelling at me. Like I got one of these and it didn't work. So I do put a little disclaimer, like depending on your proximity to broadcast towers, I mean, it might not work at all, just so you're aware, but it's something to try, I guess. I mean, if you want to like get a $10 one, $20 one, whatever, just to try it out and see if it works for you. I do have links here for some, I guess, the best antennas for this year. The thing with this where it could get expensive is if you want to get a DVR so that you can save that content and watch it later and skip commercials, that's where you're going to be investing a little bit more money. Some of the DVRs could be like $150 to $300. But if you don't even want to do that first, you just want to try the antenna to see if it works, it's not too much money to put in to give it a try. So you can get these on Amazon too. You can pretty much get anything on Amazon, but you can go to the website for the antennas, or you can look for them on Amazon, and I bet they're all on there. And the first article that I list here is the best DVRs for using the antennas. So if you find that you buy one and you really like it and it's working, then you might want to then invest in a DVR so that you can save your content. So that's one option you have if you don't want to subscribe to a live TV service right away. Another one is that there's these free apps for local news, and these are all available on Roku and most of the major streaming devices. Definitely on Roku. That's another reason that I would suggest trying a Roku out first. if you're going to try any of them. So basically these are ad supported services that offer like full length live local newscasts. And I think these are the top 3 that are supposedly easy to navigate. Haystack News is like customizable, which is really cool. Local Now is a new one for me. I just heard about it recently. You can stream local news, weather, traffic, sports. They have a lot of different diverse news stories. So that one looks cool. And these are also all available on iOS and Android too. So you can get it on an iPhone or Android if you want to try it out there before you add it to your Roku. That could be a good idea, but they're all free. Oh, this is a plug for BCTV. They wanted me to add that it's BCTV is on Roku, which is really cool. You just can add the BCTV channel and get that on your Roku if you have one, which is really cool. So this, we have come pretty much to the end. I think that you should just think about what you want to watch and if there's things you can live without. And think about other ways to access some of this stuff. Like if you think that the live TV services are a lot, and they are, they are kind of pricey, maybe you can try out some of those other ways or access news other ways, like through podcasts or just, there's all different things you could try. Or get movies and TV shows at the library or something. Another thing I forgot to mention that's really important is to take advantage of the free trials. So all of these services have free trials. Usually it's like a 7-day thing or something like that, which is really cool. So you could try them out, and just don't forget to cancel your free trials so you don't have to pay for them if you don't like it. That's important. And I think that's pretty much it. There's my contact info. I hope this kind of give you an intro to cord cutting. There's a lot to it, but if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Yes, the
Yeah.
road. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
The Roku Express, is that like a Fire Stick? Or is that over the internet?
No, it's a device. Those are all
It is a device.
like hardware, like an actual
Thing.
a thing you buy that you
Gotcha.
that you plug into your TV.
Into your TDB. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome. Yeah, there's a lot of information. There's so much out there.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Yeah. And it keeps changing too. Like new services are added, some stuff disappears, stuff gets more expensive.